This is pretty nice. I like this spot. It's a good spot. Um, Damn, what's today? Or yesterday, rather. Let me see. Let me see. Okay, so the movie for October 18th was The Wretched, movie from 2019. Um, Again, this is just kind of one, like I was scrolling around on Netflix, so no like real expectations going into it. But, you know, it's nothing crazy, honestly. It really isn't. It's got some really good effects. I'll give it that. Um, and despite how kind of like middle of the road it is, I enjoyed it quite a lot. I won't lie. Um, I feel like it's one that's like most fun when you're watching it with other people. I watched it alone, but I'd be down for a rewatch on this, just with other people, just to kind of like pick at it a little bit because um, like this is one of those where I actually did some research, just like on the actual filmmaking aspect of it, but very low budget. It was like 66K, so like pretty much nothing, right? Just gotta assume that the guys funded it themselves for the most part. It's like two brothers who directed the film. Um, but yeah, so super low budget, but it's still like a really good looking movie. Like I said, the effects are good, but just like shots and stuff, right? Very basic, but it looks nice, right? Uh, Acting pretty good, you know. It was a bit distracting. The dad character in this, he kind of looks like Sean Gunn a little bit. Um, just something I was thinking. He kind of has like a long face, and like the way his hair is, kind of like that weird like frohawk sort of thing. If y'all guys know who Sean Gunn is, yeah, but yeah. See, like now I'm just trying to like struggle thinking of like just a few things. But I feel like the thing I like most about this is it's a movie that I would kind of consider like entry horror, right? There's no rating on it because it's on Netflix, um, and there's nothing too like out there to make it like R rated or anything like that. There's a few things they could tone down. There's like brief bits of like nudity, nothing like crazy. Like they're not showing like genitalia. It's just like an ass, and that's it. So you can probably tone that down a bit because it's like two different times where they do it, but just like showing someone's like backside, and then like a shower scene, but like just showing like the back. So like nudity is there, but it's not really like in your face or anything like that a lot of the time. But tone back on that. There's a bit of swearing, but you can get away with swearing in PG-13. But this would make for if you're trying to introduce somebody to like the horror genre or like just kind of want something like a little laid back and like fun to watch. This is it, and I feel like that's a big compliment. You know what I mean? Just like enjoyable movies, right? And this one was definitely enjoyable. I mean, again, like alone, like it was cool, but this is one I'd just love to rewatch with you know a few other people and just kind of talk about it. Talk about a few things to change because this movie was like sort of weird to me. Just because, especially at first, I thought it was like so all over the place, and I feel like it takes a little long to find its footing. Uh, but once it gets there, I feel like it's pretty interesting. The creature is really cool. I like the creature a lot. It's kind of weird. It's like they almost started like going into like the lore aspects of it, and then they like kind of abandon it, sort of. Like you don't really get all the details of it. They give you like just enough so they can kind of just do. But it's like a witch of sorts that like mainly possesses women and will sort of like use that to like get at the people in the area, like sort of like manipulating men to do whatever the witch wants and the witch mainly just eats kids, so it's like targeting families and like eating the kids and then like moving on. So kind of interesting, I thought. It might be like based on some type of folklore, most likely, but I thought it was pretty cool. I mean, initially I thought it was gonna be like a Wendigo type or Skinwalker sort of. I mean, it basically sort of is like a Skinwalker. It's like possessing somebody and like using their body to uh, you know enact its evil as a witch. So all that I thought was really cool. Another thing I really liked, characters like pretty bland, but they're likable enough. the main character, especially the main guy. Um, it's a bit weird because I mean, when the movie starts off, I was like, oh, this guy's like a bit of an asshole, right? You learn a bit later on that he was trying to steal shit. That's why he has a broken arm. Also, the broken arm thing is funny. They just like that's like his character, like one of his like biggest character traits. He just has a broken arm the whole movie. It doesn't really come into play all that much, but every now and then they'll comment, and then, well, I mean, really, it only comes into play at the very end, right? Um, but yeah, so he's like a bit of an asshole, and he's like trying to steal shit, and you're like, man, like what's up with this kid? But it's like, all right, he's a teenager first of all, and his like parents are going through a divorce, so it's like, okay, he's just like acting out a little bit, right? And I mean, that's pretty consistent throughout the whole movie, but I feel like he becomes like a bit more likable as it goes on, especially as he kind of like works at solving this like situation with like the witch, right? So I enjoyed him a lot. The other lead is like his love interest in the movie. What's her name in the Mallory? uh, and I'm slipping on the actress's name, but she looked really familiar to me, so I also had to look her up. But she was on the Ant Farm, Disney's the Disney TV show, the one with China Amiclan. But yeah, she was on that, apparently as like a reoccurring character, and I mean she's been in some other stuff, but she's nice in this. She's just yeah, basically like the friend for him to bounce off of, and like love interest type character in the movie. That's the other thing too. Like this movie, it's a bit weird, like especially when I said earlier that it bounces around, because like sometimes it is just like a weird like teen drama almost. I mean, again, like the main character, his like parents are going through a divorce, and he's like with his dad for the moment, and he's like dealing with all that, but he's working this side job for the summer with his dad, and that's where he meets Mallory. So then you just have this like developing like young love. Again, it's like weird, and then we jump back, or keep jumping back and forth from that to the horror elements of the movie, the witch elements. um, yeah, but it's, again, it's bizarre just because, like, since most of it is like that teen drama stuff, a lot of it's like shot during the day, which is quite bold. I mean, usually, I mean, especially with the witch, right? Like you want to capture most of it at night because like the night's the scariest, and you can do a bit more with that. But most of the movie kind of takes place in broad daylight, um, surprisingly. Um, but yeah, again, like not like a bad thing necessarily, or not to me at least, but just an interesting thing. And again, just like something to sort of like poke at, and you know, I think it'd be interesting if there's any sort of like behind the scenes stuff, right? Either like the directors talking about it, or even if like some of the actors have like a bit of insight on this, because I think, especially with the low budget stuff, man, I like that sort of thing. Horror is like a bit easier to do low budget with. I feel like romance is also a bit easier to do low budget with. That's besides the point. Because I mean, with horror, like you don't really need a lot of sets. First of all, you can just kind of film in the open, or like film in a house that you own already. You know what I mean? So you don't really have to spend a lot of money on sets. The only thing you really have to spend money on is equipment, and then if you have the know-how, you can just do really good effects for cheap, right? Um, yeah. So looking into like the actual like behind the scenes stuff for this, I think would be interesting. Maybe I'll research that. I don't know. But I mean, again, like the low budget stuff just interests me because I feel like everybody has like a want to create something, and filmmaking always seemed like really interesting. I know it's hard. I know it's really really hard, but I don't know. But researching that sort of thing was always just like a side interest. But that's kind of besides the point. Um, the actual point I was trying to make is like, yeah, so like low budget, right? Like them filming like during the day, bold, I think. Um, but I guess like sort of nitpicks, like things that kind of throw me off. I mean, again, like I said before, like it jumps around, and I was trying to, like initially it's a bit confusing because you like we start with like a flashback kind of thing for like the first scare. It's like 30 years ago, um, and then it shows like the witch killing a kid, and it's like, okay, like what's the relevance? But I mean, again, with like the movie like taking time to find the footing, that first scene doesn't really come into play until you've like learned a bit about the witch, I guess. And I mean, the only assumption you can make is that, oh, like this witch has been around for like a really long time. I mean, pretty simple, uh, but at the same time, like it's not entirely necessary. So like me personally, I just wouldn't have even like had that in the movie to begin with. Just like kind of cut that first scene and just start off with our main character on the bus, going uh, on his journey. I feel like that's like the better place to start. But again, that's kind of like a horror trope, I guess, or like just like a writing technique. Because like you need the engagement, right? You need the first scare within the first 5 minutes, sort of thing. So like that's the only real purpose of that scene is like just to give you the first scare before they kind of introduce like our actual characters. Um, yeah, and I mean again with the characters, I like them. But that's also what I was talking about with like the teen drama stuff because there is like a lot of just like lighter moments. I mean, especially between the main character and Mallory, and their like blossoming like kind of friendship. Um, like it's like really simple and like it might seem out of place a bit for it to be in the movie, but I don't know. I enjoyed that. Um, and then obviously he's like dealing with bullies and stuff like that just because he's like the new kid like in the small town. Uh, but that's also why I said that this is good like PG-13 horror. Like it feels. I mean, again, if you like tone down a few things, it could easily pass as like a it could probably pass on like Nickelodeon or something like that, right? Maybe not Disney, but definitely on like Nickelodeon, like a more edgier, like sort of like kids channel. Or I don't know, like does Cartoon Network do original movies? I don't think so. Or live action stuff. No, I feel like it's just animation. Is Cartoon Network still around? Uh, no, but like it could definitely pass for something like that, especially with like all the teen stuff. Because I mean, again, like PG-13, like the demographic is teenagers, so like add like a bunch of stuff for teenagers, and then add the horror stuff that they'll also enjoy as well. And the horror stuff is good too. Like the witch has a cool design. Whenever it possesses people, I mean, it's a bit of a cliche, but like the bone cracking thing, right? I've seen it before millions of times now. Uh, so I mean, if that kind of irks you a bit, then you know, to each their own. Doesn't really bother me all that much. I just kind of take it as it is. Um, but there's a few scenes where like the witch will do something cool. Like after it's like possessed somebody, there's a scene where like the dad like finally like confronts the witch, and like the witch kind of has him like pinned down. He's like choking him out, but like on the hand of like the person that the witch is possessing, the actual witch's hand like crawls out of it like from the what is this from the wrist. Pretty cool visual. And then I mean again like the sun kind of comes in and like stops the witch, but whenever the witch is on the ground, like it starts like convulsing a little bit, like it's losing its hold on the person that it was possessing. So it just like claws out of its stomach. It's a really cool visual. Um, but yeah, just small stuff like that. Really, really cool. There's some other like bits of like gore here and there. Nothing again, like nothing too crazy. Nothing that you couldn't tone down, or I mean, even then, it's pretty tame, right? Uh, I feel like I'm going in circles with this one because I mean, again, it's just like a lot of the small things to pick at, like things I would probably change personally. Again, just like changing the focus a lot of the time, and like like cutting a scene here and there, maybe even adding a few scenes more so on the lore of this character, or the this witch. Not that it's necessary, but I would have liked it personally because I did like what they were presenting to begin with. Um, I don't know what else. Yeah, it's funny. Because I mean, again, like this is nothing like standout, like nothing like too like crazy good, but it's sticking with me just because I don't know. I guess I just appreciate it. It sort of hit me at the right time, and that's always a good thing. And I mean, what else? I don't know. That might be it. I'm definitely down for a rewatch on this. And I mean, just from how positive I'm speaking on it, like despite the nitpicks, right? Um, I'd recommend this just like wholeheartedly. Why not? Yeah, it's a bit of fun. I mean, again, on Netflix, like bit slow. I guess that's what I wanted to get at too, like the other like nitpick as well, where it's like changing focus. You're always, going from our main character, and then at first it like transitions to the other family, like the neighboring family, and like starts to develop them a bit. And then for that first like 30 to 40 minutes, it just jumps back and forth between the main kid and like what he's doing at his job and the next door family. Uh, and again, just like trying to find the relevance, but the movie finds its footing like at that 45-minute mark. Um, so if you're kind of in it just for, you know, I'm just gonna say stick with it. Honestly, it's not like completely unbearable. It's not like so slow. It's like bad. Like there's still stuff going on, but it's mostly like teen drama stuff. Not no like actual scares. That's the other thing too. I guess there isn't really like too many like scares necessarily. It's just like bits of gore and whatnot like for the horror. Yeah, like not like too like high intense on the scares, which is all right. Again, like it would just be like easy like PG-13 like intro horror. So if you have like I guess like young siblings or like you have friends that like aren't really into horror, but like are like into film, I guess, right? I feel like this is a decent one to show. Just to like I don't know, just have some fun, right? Um, Another thing too, just wanted to briefly talk about the ending specifically, as like another thing I would cut. We don't need that twist ending really. I feel like you could have just like wrapped this up like in a nice little bow. You don't need the twist ending where Mallory gets possessed by the witch or like is possessed by the witch. I mean, that's the thing too, because it's not even like a bad twist necessarily, but or it's not a bad twist. I just don't think it's very necessary. You know, like the movie was kind of over, but again, I feel like that's another horror trope too, where it's like, oh man, we gotta like keep this going. Like we gotta have the small twist, like they didn't actually like beat the evil, sort of thing. Which I guess like playing for the dark ending, right? Something that I talked about with like Smile. Um, and I mean, again, like you can do that, it's no problem. But with this movie specifically, I feel like they did such a good job, especially towards the end, like last 10 minutes of like actually defeating the witch, that having like all that sort of be in vain. I don't know, kind of rubs me the wrong way. Uh, because I mean, it kind of defeats the like the teen drama angle that they were going with. Because I mean, at the end of it, what's his name? The main kid finally gets a little peck on the cheek from Mallory. I'm like, all right, cool. You know what? Just wrap this up, nice little bow, right? And then she hands him like a little flower. And another thing about the witch is like it sort of like kills things or like decays like living things nearby. So like you can tell the witch is close if it's like decaying like the plant life like in the area, but then also like as it's possessing its victim, like the victim slowly decays. Again, just like little like small thing that you just kind of pick up on. They never really tell you, which I appreciate. Like I feel like I've said it before, like the show don't tell stuff. So I really appreciate that they just show you it. Um, which now saying that out loud, I feel like that kind of contradicts me wanting more information. Like them telling me more information, but it's because I'm interested, or I'm just invested, right? Uh, but yeah, so they do the show don't tell really well actually. But yeah, so that's the twist. Like Mallory hands him a like a little fake flower, or like he figures out it's fake like as he's leaving, and it's like like the flower is fake, and he kind of like takes a look back, and then like the ending shot is just like zooming in on like Mallory, and she kind of has like a mischievous look to her, and obviously the implication is like, oh, she's the witch, or is possessed by the witch. Um, Again, not necessary, but if you want to toss it in, go for it. But yeah, so obvious recommendation. I really want to watch this one again. Sorry if I like talked in circles the whole time, but I'm just like sort of thinking about like a few specific things in this movie, or just like well, mainly what I liked, and I kind of just want to like give y'all fair warning, like because it is very slow, and I know I've complained about that in the past about movies being slow, but I don't know, like this one was just like sort of nice, you know. I feel like it's a good contrast, especially from like a lot of the other stuff I've been watching lately, like just stuff I haven't liked, right? So sometimes it's good just to like have like a decent movie like come my way and like just me like enjoy it for what it is. Um, but yeah, I guess that's it for this one. Yeah, sorry for the rambling, but yeah, definitely recommend this. Take care.